In this video, we're going to go over the different types of tissues that can be found within the body. But if we're going to do that, the first thing that we need to do is we're actually going to have to define what a tissue is. Right? So if we remember back from our hierarchical organization of an organism of the body, we can remember that atoms combine to form to make molecules, molecules combine to make cells, cells combine to make tissues. So a tissue is essentially a group of cells that work together to provide a given function. So a group of cells working together for a common function. Okay? So it's a group of cells working together for a common function. And when we talk about tissues in the body, there are four main types of tissue that we talk about. There is what we refer to as epithelial tissue. There is connective tissue. There is muscle tissue. And there is nervous tissue. Now, within each of these can be further broken down into different subcategories or different subtypes. So just briefly, we'll break them down into their different subtypes. So if we look at epithelial tissue, the different types of epithelial tissue are what we refer to as simple and stratified. Simple and stratified. Now, there's actually a sort of off category of this known as pseudo stratified. And there's another one known as transitional. So four different types of epithelial tissue: transitional, pseudostratified, and then the big categories are simple and stratified. And we'll talk about those more in detail in a later video. Okay. Now, if we look at our connective tissues, connective tissue can be broken down into connective tissue proper. So we'll write CT proper. And then what we call irregular connective tissues. Okay, so our connective tissue proper can be broken down into what we call dense connective tissues and loose connective tissues. You'll often hear these referred to as the fibrous connective tissues. Okay, so you have dense and loose. So in dense, we have dense irregular. And then you have dense regular. Two different types of dense connective tissue. In loose, there are three main types of loose connective tissue. There's what we refer to as areolar. There is reticular. And there is adipose tissue. Then our irregular connective tissues are going to be cartilage, bone, and then one fluid connective tissue, which is blood. Okay, so we have the breakdown into fibrous connective tissue proper, are irregular connective tissues. Under connective tissue proper, we have dense and loose, so we could have dense irregular, dense regular. Under loose, we can have areolar, reticular, adipose. And under irregular, we have cartilage, bone, and blood. All right. Now, under our muscle tissue, there are three types of muscle, and you may have heard of these before. There is cardiac, which is found in the heart, skeletal, which is found associated with the skeleton, and there is smooth muscle surrounding the ducts and cavities in the body. And then nervous tissue is the easy one because there's only one type of nervous tissue. There's a lot of different cell types, but only one type of nervous tissue. Right? Now, I know we haven't talked about all of these, and some of these words might seem a little bit new, something that you haven't heard before, but we're going to talk about them each individually in different videos. So we'll go into more detail in them a little bit later on. But let's take a quick picture or a quick look at a picture of these different types of tissues in the body. Here we can see the different types of tissue throughout the body. So remember, there's four main types of tissue that we talk about. The first being our epithelial tissue. Remember, this lines ducts, cavities, and surfaces. So like your GI tract, the stomach, the intestines, that's going to be lined by an epithelium. Blood vessels lined by an epithelium. And then the epidermis, the skin, that's what covers your surface, right? So that is an epithelium as well. We have our connective tissue. So connective tissue sort of connects things, right? But it can also provide support and protection. So like your adipose tissue, your fat tissue, bone is a connective tissue, tendons are a connective tissue, your dermis underneath your skin is a connective tissue. Here we have our muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is contractile, has the ability to produce sort of movement, if you will. And you have cardiac in the heart, smooth muscle surrounding ducts or cavities in the body, and then skeletal muscle associated with the skeleton. And then last but not least, you have your nervous tissue, which is your excitable tissue, has the ability to send or receive electrical signals in the body. So it's going to be brain, spinal cord, nerves, and some sensory receptors inside of the body. So those are the four main tissue types.